Well, 5 minutes after the top of the hour, this story, it seems like yesterday, but believe it or not, right after 9/11, we decided to go into Afghanistan and try to hunt down bin Laden. One of the people that we found was Johnny Walker Lynn. He was with the Taliban fighting against us, and he was held in Mazar-e Sharif. On the ground, taking a head count was Johnny Michael Spann. Within a short span of time, there was an insurrection, and Johnny Michael Spann with the CIA lost his life. This guy knew about it. He could have tipped him off. He did not do it. He was jailed. He was found by a documentarian we have since, who just happened to be, he says, I'm an American. He was tried and convicted and given 20 years in prison.
Yeah, and he only served 17. He's getting out for good behavior, even though he still said that he would like violence to occur. The story is he grew up in California. He's 38 years old now. He converted to Islam as a teenager after watching Malcolm X, the movie. And he goes overseas. He learns Arabic. He learns the Quran. And then he goes to Pakistan, then Afghanistan, and that's when he joined the Taliban.
That's right. Johnny Mike Spann was a CIA operative. He worked for the CIA. Mike Pompeo, before he was the Secretary of State, was with us just a little while ago, about an hour ago. He also ran the CIA. This is very personal for him because this guy, first of all, was only given 20 years for killing this American, being involved in the death of this American, but also that he would be let out of prison 2 years early. The Secretary had no idea why they did that, but he is deeply troubled by it.
Unexplainable and unconscionable. I led the CIA. Johnny Michael Spann was one of ours. He's a man of enormous integrity and courage, and we're now allowing someone who was involved in his death out of jail after what is a relatively short sentence. He still, as I understand it, is threatening the United States of America and still committed to the very jihad that he engaged in that killed a great American and a great CIA officer. There's something deeply troubling and wrong about this.
Well, the judge did have some restrictions on him. He will not be able to leave the country. He was just released from Terre Haute, Indiana, prison there. He's going to have his internet watched, but nonetheless, the so-called American Taliban has been released from jail after less than 20 years in prison.
Yeah, he served 17 years and 5 months, roughly. The Spann family is really upset about this, as you can imagine.
But keep in mind that we have a lot of this situation right now with ISIS. There's a lot of Americans went over there to fight ISIS and against us specifically. One woman in particular says, I'd like to come back to America in North Carolina. And the president said, absolutely not. You're not coming back. So there were a lot of Johnny Michael Spanns who even after 9/11, decade after, still went back and did this. So this is an important example. And I don't think it's a great one that he gets 2 years less of his 20.
Meanwhile, straight ahead, our breaking news story. The so-called American Taliban fighter has been released from federal prison in Indiana just a short time ago. John Walker Lynn was the terror group on 9/11. We're going to talk to Ray Kelly, Commissioner of Police in New York, about that next.
This is a Fox News alert. Moments ago, the convicted terrorist known as the American Taliban released from federal prison several years before completing the 20-year sentence that he got for joining the Taliban after 9/11.
John Walker Lynn was there when the Taliban launched an attack killing CIA operative Johnny Mike Spann, a Marine turned CIA officer, and the first American killed in combat in Afghanistan after the September the 11th attacks.
So we want to get the perspective of Ray Kelly, longtime police commissioner here with the in New York City, NYPD. Played a critical role in the rebuilding of New York after 9/11 and keeping us safe, forming a elite counterterrorism unit. Commissioner, your gut feeling as a citizen of New York, a citizen of this country, about him getting out 3 years early?
I think it's disgraceful. He's an American. He should have been tried as a traitor. At the very least, he should have served out his full sentence, which, by the way, is a short sentence for terrorism. 20. Should have been life imprisonment for him. He has still not disavowed jihad. And, you know, when he was captured, he didn't cooperate at all with the CIA, Mike Spann, who ultimately died in a riot. We don't know what John Walker Lynn's role was in that, but he definitely should not be walking the streets now. How do you be monitored? By the way, he met bin Laden. He admits to having carrying a rifle and 2 hand grenades. He's a warrior.
How do you explain the people in charge saying, you know what, he's served enough time, good behavior, let him out 2.5 years early?
I can't understand it. Why let him out early? Let him walk the streets. As I say, he hasn't disavowed anything. So
You know what's
it definitely is a risk.
Prison reform is so important nowadays because we did the story with Alice Marie Johnson, the one that Kim Kardashian talked to the president about, and the president granted her clemency. She was nonviolent, first-time drug offender, and she got life behind bars. This guy takes a CIA officer's life, joins the Taliban, is a traitor, doesn't want to, death to America, joins this group that's death to America, and he gets 20 years and gets out for good behavior earlier.
Yeah, it makes no sense. It's just... It defies logic.
Commissioner, it's not new. Since 9/11, how worried were you as Commissioner of NYPD with counterterror about Americans getting radicalized? No longer you need to go to Afghanistan. You get radicalized on a laptop.
Absolutely, and still very much a possibility. We saw these posters that came out. It's a reminder that the terrorism threat is very much still there, something we have to be concerned about. We have to look over the horizon and make sure we're not fighting yesterday's war. We have to look at drones, at cyber attacks, at artificial intelligence. All of these things are potential causes for terrorism.
So much has changed.
Got to stay vigilant.
So much has changed since 9/11.
Absolutely.
You were here in New York City on September the 11th, 2001. This particular ship, the USS New York, throughout the construction of it, they used 7,000 pounds of steel from the Twin Towers. So this ship is symbolic to what happened then.
Absolutely. This is a tremendous ship. I had a tour of it before. Over 50 years ago, I was on a ship roughly similar, landing in Vietnam. The LSD, they call it then, but this ship is a quantum leap ahead. I saw it stop the other day at the World Trade Center site. I live right down there. It was very, very moving.
It's got to be a little surreal, to know that we had to lose that in order to help build this ship.
Yeah.
It's just very surreal to me to think about what happened here in our city, the city that we love so much. The motto of this ship is strength forged through sacrifice and never forget.
Yeah. It also shows the resiliency of Americans.
It's true.
How tough of people we are, how we can rebound, how we can come back. You look at that area down there; it's beautiful.
Yeah.
They did a beautiful job. The memorial is beautiful. We're a tough people.
Yeah, and Commissioner, just your opinion as you walk the city. The homeless are back. The streets aren't paved. We seem to be going backwards. You live here. What is your response, knowing how far we've come with Rudy Giuliani and to a degree Mayor Bloomberg?
Well, it certainly has slipped, and I'm kind of happy that Mayor de Blasio was out of the city running for president.
He's terrible,
We want him out of here.
Well, maybe he'll win.
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well,
now, the city has slipped back in a lot of areas, and people are concerned about it. You hear people talking about it, all the time.
All right. Commissioner, thank you very much for dropping.
All the best.